Hey guys, I've decided to do commentary on my sniper rifle video here. So basically I'm going to explain how I did everything, like how I soloed it without dying sort of a thing. Kind of ways to teach, I guess. So obviously I'm bringing the sniper rifle, I'm bringing the jump pack, rocket sentry, and the 500 kilogram. In this particular game I'm using the sniper rifle more of a primary. My crossbow I'm using more of a secondary just to destroy fabricators and large groups of smaller enemies. Rocket Sentry is for sustained fire across groups of enemies that are flanking me or that I think might flank me when I want to deal with something that's in front of me and not have to worry about stuff like that's to the left or the right or behind me, for example. 500 kilograms for large groups of enemies, large enemies, and I've also brought it for the Detector Tower. So, I placed the Rocket Sentry there because, I'll say in a moment, I'm going for the Strategem Beacon. My main goal is Detector Tower right now, which I use my 500 kilogram for. But the Strategem Jammer is blocking my stratagem, so I have to go for that first. Now, there's lots of enemies to the left and to the right. I don't want to have to deal with them while I'm facing forward, dealing with the enemies inside the Strategem Jammer before I enter it. So I've placed my rocket sentry just outside of the zone to kind of help deal with them and draw fire away from me from the sidelines. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look. I've already started shooting right now, but first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly look, make sure there's no immediate scout striders or rocket devastators, because if I focus fire on something else, those two specific types of enemies can take me out quite quickly. So if they were there, I would go for them first, and that applies to any scenario, not just this. I will always go for the rocket devastators and scout striders first when I can, because they're the most dangerous. They have the longest range, and they do the most DPS, I feel like in combination with accuracy. Right, so I'm going to take everything out first, and then I'm going to enter in there. And one thing with the specific scenario like this is try not to, like when you get into a hectic scenario like this, try not to let your fear or adrenaline dictate your actions. Stay calm, level-headed, and focused, and let your actions be dictated by that. I find 100% of the time it goes way better when I just remain focused, pay attention to what I'm doing, and don't lose my cool sort of a thing. Stun grenades are pairing with the sniper rifle quite well. Like I can stun the Hulk and then snipe his head. A weak spot on the Scout Strider is actually the missiles on the Scout Strider. If they have not expended them yet, you can actually shoot them and it's almost always a one shot. Sometimes I've noticed it takes a couple more than one shot if you're using a weaker weapon like submachine gun or something. But especially with the sniper rifle, should be a one shot to the rocket there. Now despite I'm going to be blowing up this whole area with a hull bomb, I'm going to dispatch that fabricator right away, because while I'm waiting for it to drop down and typing in the code for the hell bomb, I don't want it to be spawning enemies to kind of shoot at me while I'm busy, right? So right now, like one good thing I like doing is checking the map quite frequently, making sure I'm not getting flanked, there's no enemies behind me. You won't see me do it here that much because I've got walls pretty much all around me except for in front, so I'm not too worried about being flanked from the sides or from behind. But any other scenario where I'm not in a fortification like this, I'll want to be checking my map quite frequently, and you'll notice that throughout the video how often I actually check my map, and that's just seeing where all the enemies are and if I'm getting pushed on from the sides or from behind. Like even when I'm in the midst of combat, if I notice I have half a second break, I will quickly check my map and just make sure I'm not being flanked from a different direction. So your throwing distance is 45 meters, so that's why I mark it. I find the marking tool to be very useful. So I run at the Detector Tower, I mark it, and as soon as it hits 45 meters, I aim up at about 45-degree angle, which is, you know, halfway between ground level and straight up. And I throw it, and then it lands right beside it, right? You can increase that throw distance to 53 meters if you throw it mid-dive. You can increase it even further if you're wearing armor, but I'm not wearing that armor, obviously. So, on that note, actually, I'm wearing the Peak Physique armor, should be in the description, because I want to reduce the ergonomic delay of the sniper rifle as it's quite heavy. I want to be accuracy, I want to be able to hit those snapshots. I need speed for this, especially since I'm using it as my primary. One other thing you'll notice is I'm almost always in prone or crouch when I'm shooting my sniper rifle. This is to reduce the recoil, to make the delay I have between shots less. So then that way I can be more fluent, I guess, with the frequency of my shots. It also makes me a harder target to hit, so that's good. Obviously I'm gonna get rid of that big propane tank. I don't want some stray bullet hitting it and blowing me off the side of that thing or killing me straight up while I'm trying to do this terminal here. So that's always something I'll do, is get rid of those explosive tanks as quickly as I can. And I'm not going to waste time while I'm waiting for that terminal to load. I'm going to go do something else if I can. Right now I've got this light base right beside me. You'll notice I got this just fine keyhole I can throw a crossbow bolt through. Works awesome. Then I'll go back and start redoing the terminal there. So I'm not sure why that guy didn't die. It looks like I missed only 1 or 2 shots, but I'm not too sure where my shots went there. But the one thing with the gunner devastators is I noticed that if I position my scope slightly above their head or kind of on the top of their head, I have more consistent one-shot headshot kills for some reason. I find that if I just hit directly on their head, they don't seem to die right away. Not too sure why that is, so I think you'll notice that I'll try to aim kind of above when I'm making precise shots. The reason why I dived there is because that guy kind of took me by surprise, but I spam shot him not to kill him but to kind of distract him. If you shoot bots in this game, they actually have software that makes them more inaccurate, so that's why I shot him so I didn't die. One thing with the mortar artillery, it actually only requires heavy pen to destroy, and right now if you use same armor penetration on same armor, for example heavy armor penetrating weapon on a heavy armor enemy, it takes 65% of the damage. Previously it was 50%, but so it's still destroyable. So you'll notice I can actually use my sniper rifle for the mortar emplacement, which is quite handy. So right now you'll notice I'm just kind of looking. You may be able to see the mortar emplacements quite easily, but right now I'm just sitting there. I can't see them. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm focused on not getting hit. I'm subconsciously focusing more on the enemy. So what I'm waiting to do is I'm waiting for the mortar to shoot so that I can see it, locate it, and take it out as quickly as I can. So right now there was a lot of enemies back there kind of just nailing me there, so I wanted to get out of there, reposition so the enemies don't see me right away, sort of thing. That was a wonderful kill. Both Hawks with 1 ultimatum shot. That was awesome. So yeah, I'll sit there and wait for it to make its shot so I can locate it, and then I'll take it out. And then I believe I come back for the fabricator later because it's facing such an awkward angle and I need to be on the front of it. So I'm pretty sure I do come back for that later. That's okay. Like, one thing when you're doing objectives, like if you have a bot drop or any drop of any kind, any faction, whatever it is, don't be afraid to go back to that particular objective or sub-objective later. It can always be done later. 40 minutes doesn't seem like a lot of time, but Really, like it's almost an hour. It's quite a lot of time, I think. So don't be afraid to go back for it later. Like when I'm mapping out where I want to go in my route, I usually try and do it in a bit of a loop, so that way I can hit things chronologically as they come. That way I can kind of make my
Last reload.
the best use of my time, most efficient, so I'm not kind of zigzagging and backtracking where I've already been. Right there, I just went back to get my resupplies. So yeah, when you got the modifier port intel, you'll see I'm looking at buildings right now on my map, kind of shaking over it like that. So when you're not in the city, this is quite a useful thing. You can use your mini-map to actually figure out where the objectives are, because they're going to be buildings, right? Not just going to be sand. So when you got poor intel and it doesn't tell you exactly where it is, just look at your mini-map and it's more than likely going to be where the buildings are in that little zone it has selected for you. I feel like Hawks are the same way too as the Rocket Devastators, where I kind of have to aim at the top of their head and not so much actually on it. Like even at close distances, despite bullet drop.
Must defend prosperity.
Yes, you'll notice it kind of stood out in the open when I was getting shot at like that. Not a good thing. I did quickly move over to cover, but spatial awareness is definitely a large factor in doing these solos. Definitely want to know where everything is. Like I said before, checking your mini-map all the time. Always remaining in cover. And if there is no cover, making yourself as little as possible, like going prone behind a small hill or something. Yeah, so as soon as I notice the flare bullets kind of grows in size, I back away into cover. As you saw, I already threw a 500 in anticipation of that, so thankfully it took out most of that out, judging by the decrease in flare bullets coming at me.
Freedom forever. Have a taste of democracy.
So one thing when I'm clearing a corner is just like that, I'll turn my camera hard so I'm facing the wall exactly perpendicular. So that way I can see across the wall before my character clears it, in case something like the Gunner Devastator is on the opposite side. I heard him, so I knew he was there. I just wanted to make sure that he was or wasn't just on the other side of that corner, and in this case he was, so thankfully I did check for that. So on this one, there's not really any nearby objectives, so while I'm kind of waiting for it, that's all I really have to do is wait. Kind of sit there and waste time, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. I mean, I do have the heavy base over here, so I may go do some reconnaissance. So you'll notice at some point I'll start taking out that gunner turret. So it takes, I believe, about 5 or 6 shots to the heat sink on the back to take it out. And I'm going to do that right away. I don't want that shooting anywhere near me. The other one's kind of far enough away. Now there is a factory strider over there with a cannon on top, and that's okay. As I'm doing my reconnaissance and shooting everything else, I'm going to be keeping one eye very closely on the cannon on his back. As you saw, it kind of turned around to face me, so I'm going to get out of there, go back later, come back at a different angle, sort of thing. Right now I'm getting attacked from the other side, so I can't really do that, but if you ever get in that particular scenario, definitely keep one eye on the cannon on the back of that factory strider, because that thing will absolutely annihilate you. It is deadly. So one other thing you'll notice when I get over to that same heavy base, you can actually see the
Last reload.
fabricators on your mini-map as large red dots, so you may mistake it for a Hulk or something when you were initially looking at it. The way to tell whether it's actually a Hulk or not when you're on the other side of a wall is fabricator obviously will not be moving. Also, I just kind of make educated guesses based on my reconnaissance or the layout of the map. So one thing I think I already did it, is I shot out the minigun on the bottom of the factory strider there. Because when I plan to get close, obviously, because there's some fabricators on the other side of that large wall, I don't want him gunning me down. So I can't see any more fabricators, so I'm going to revolve around the other side of this small mountain, get a different view of things. So I'm going to take out that gun, because I don't want him taking me out from behind as I'm doing more reconnaissance or sniping enemies down in the heavy base. One other thing I like doing is when I'm on top of a hill, when I know there's enemies behind me, is I'll place my sentry kind of behind me to take things out or draw fire away from me. So you'll notice I marked the fabricator and I kind of get within that 53 meter distance like I explained before, and I threw it, and that's how I destroyed the fabricators here. That's an importance of reconnaissance and using a advantageously placed mountain like that to be able to see over top of things. Very useful. So like you saw, I marked it, used my jump pack to get in close before my mark disappeared. Got within at least that 53 meter distance so I can get that far of a distance by diving. Throw it in the general direction of my marker. Take out the fabricator. So one thing I like doing is I like trying to get to a place where I'm safe enough, place down, wait, and collect a resupply. So, when I'm at about 2 stims or less than half a meg on my main weapon. So right now obviously I'm a bit late for that, and you don't really want to get that late, because if you're trying to find your safe spot and you ever get into a place where you're kind of being drawn away or you're engaging into another lengthy firefight, you could easily run out of stims or ammo, and then from then you can just get killed. So that's kind of the threshold I like to hold, is 2 stims and just kind of under half a meg in my primary, is I want to get a resupply down when I get to that spot there. Finding the Loadout Tower this early on is very advantageous. You can see where all my sub-objectives are. Loadout Tower, when you're not in the city, like I explained before, you can actually see it on your mini-map. It's definitely one of the things I'll look for. One of my first things I want to hit will always be the Loadout Tower, because I can see hidden sub-objectives that I may miss with it. So yeah, like I'm ragdolling down the mountain. I'm going to look straight at that factory shredder. I want to know if his cannon's facing me or not, if I'm going to get out of there ASAP as soon as I'm able to stand up, right? So obviously it didn't face me, so I'm kind of in the clear there. Like I said before, on the not wasting time aspect of things, as I'm waiting for that to raise, I'll likely go for this escape pod data over here and start activating that while I'm waiting for the Loadout Tower to raise. Kind of do 2 objectives at the same time, sort of thing. So right now I have all my modules completed. I don't need the samples. Sometimes I collect them out of habit, but in this particular scenario I collected them, and regardless if you need the samples or not, I collect them right away because they emit a sound. I want to be able to hear what's walking up on me. I don't want that sound interrupting me listening to what's going on around me here. So you can see I kind of used a map to tell if they were going to revolve around that mountain and when they were. And I timed my 500 so that when they kind of walk past that little mountain, I don't know what you would call that. I throw my 500 in there to kind of take that out. One reason why those scout traders are so deadly, even if they don't hit you, they can ragdoll you, allowing something else to take you out. So Almost always will go for those first. So I always love utilizing cover. I want to only be able to see what I'm shooting, because if you can see it, it can see you. That means it can shoot you. Now, that doesn't mean I need my eyes to know where they are. I can use my ears, hearing where it is. I can use a mini map, and a mini map will tell me where they are. So I have that huge advantage over my enemy. So I'll kind of sit behind cover and make sure that I can only see what I want to shoot, because what I can see me and can then shoot me. So utilization of cover, especially in the bots, very important.
Deploying equipment package.
So me sticking through rotating the disc right now, like completely, is actually quite risky. Just because there was a lot of drop ships that just dropped enemies nearby. So normally I would at least halfway in between quit and just have a look around. Obviously it's fine if you've killed everything and nothing's nearby, but I've just had drop ships drop nearby. And there's still plenty of enemies, so. Now the enemies aren't my main goal. I'm not going to sit there and take them out. As soon as I finish the objective, I'm going to get a move on. Right, like I said before, 40 minutes is a lot of time, as long as you prioritize the objectives. You're only going for them, taking out the enemies as they get in your way. Enemies are not the main objective here. They're simply obstacles. Always checking my map, even when I'm en route between objectives. I want to know if I'm coming up on a patrol of enemies, something like that. I want to know what I'm walking up to. So I was already here. I believe I was driven away by enemy fire. But I'll come back. Maybe I just forgot to do the. I think that's actually what it was. Is I forgot to do the final step. I thought I had finished it. Luckily, I didn't have to wait for it to load or anything, so I could just type in the code and grab the SSD. Now, one thing I believe is the more bases you destroy, like fabricators, warp ships, bug holes, stuff like that, the less they stop spawning from those drops, those drop ships, warp ships, bug holes. Because, well, they don't exist anymore. You've destroyed them. And the more they will spawn in as patrols. Now, I don't remember if they spawn closer to the center of the map or the outside of the map. I don't remember exactly what that is. But knowing this, I've already destroyed most of the bases. There are going to be a lot more just enemies just in random spots, not necessarily at the bases or the objectives. So I'm going to be checking the map quite frequently, not going to my objective as the crow flies. In other words, in a straight line. I'm going to be weaving around the enemies. Even if I can take them out, it's still time consuming. So you can see my marker there is where the enemies are, not my reticle on the map, that square reticle. The marker on the right side is where that is. Like I said before, you can use your mini map where the buildings are. That's exactly where the objective is when you have point intel as a modifier there. So, like when you're doing the sniper rifle just like that, you'll notice I took my first shot, moved my scope down, so that way with the recoil, my sniping reticle is right on his heatsink. If I didn't move down, the recoil would have positioned it above and likely missed or just hit the top of the Hulk. But I want to be able to quickly shoot his heatsink. Obviously I failed there, but as you saw in the beginning of the video, I did it effectively. So like you've seen me do a couple times before, in anticipation for the drops of the troops, when I see a drop ship arrive, I will throw a 500 kilogram to destroy the majority of those enemies, to kind of speed things along. Just checking my map for enemies right now. And I'll take this opportunity to destroy the fabricator that I missed before because it was facing the correct way. I'll use my mini-map. I've already located the objective. It's on my orange pin there, so just refill on ammo and get on over there. So as you can see, I'm keeping my head down because my rocket sentry is delivering fire to some enemies over there. So I'll keep my head down so I'm not caught in my turret's crossfire. So like the first heavy base, I'm going to take out that cannon first thing because I don't want it to take me out when I'm not paying attention to it, sniping things over here. Because oftentimes, even if you don't shoot in its direction, it just magically likes to turn around and look at you, so. One thing you'll notice is I'm quite frequently changing my scope magnification throughout the game. That's to make the sensitivity between distances of my enemies more comfortable. Like if I'm at 200 meters magnification on my scope and there's an enemy right in front of me, it's going to be relatively slow and he's going to be fast, I should say, relatively fast. And he's going to be really zoomed in. It's going to be much harder to hit, so don't be afraid to switch your magnification even mid-combat. It's definitely better to be more comfortable when you're hitting more shots. More shots you hit, the less enemies there are, the less likely they are to take you out.
Democracy's on its way.
So I'm just kind of ignoring the enemies behind me there. I don't want to waste time, so I'm going to utilize my jetpack to close the distance between me and the objective. So even though it's an explosive weapon, you see how I'm shooting him and he becomes so much more inaccurate. Even more so now that I am using an explosive weapon, but even with the regular gun, they become quite inaccurate. That was nice. Shooting the rocket on the scout strider and taking them both out. So you'll see that I'll go for the belly for these regular chainsaw berserkers. It's usually a one shot with the sniper rifle as opposed to aiming to their much smaller head, even though it's a one shot. So I'm just kind of screwing around with my crossbow right now because I'm out of ammo for my sniper rifle completely. So, like I said, I'm not following my own tactic there where at 2 stims or just under half a clip of ammo, you call in your supplies.
Last reload.
I definitely should have used my jump pack there to close that distance between cover. Oh, that's why, because I needed to get back up there. I dropped it up there, that's right. Forgot about that. Yeah, normally in that scenario, I would use my jump pack to jump from cover to cover so I don't get shot. I risked it there because I needed the jump pack to get on top of that rock. I had dropped it up there, switching to my sniper rifle to snipe things, and then hadn't realized I dropped it.
Back from the nest.
Yeah, that's right. Right there, I'm taking out the gun. The gun. I don't remember what when you tag them, are called any enemy unit. They're cannon turret, really, just a smaller one. So I'm gonna take them out while I can see them because they're quite a nuisance when you're close to the fortress.
Administering freedom.
completely overshot that ultimatum shot. For some reason I thought that Hulk, the shot would not make it to that Hulk. So here's another instance where I stuck it through too long when I should not have, and I actually had a trooper behind me here. You can see him shooting me, and I stuck it through. I thought he wasn't right behind me. I thought he was like still over there. Big mistake. Almost died. So yeah, don't ever stick it through like I did both times this game. I highly advise against that. That's definitely me rushing.
Mission at 10 minutes remaining.
Definitely stop at least once halfway to double check the map. So like as you can see, I had quite a few things behind me. I'm lucky all that reached me was a singular trooper at the time. So I'm just kind of using my crossbow instead of my sniper rifle for the AoE, the area of effect damage. Just kind of clear things up quicker there. So even though I quit it there, when I got back to the terminal, I realized I didn't finish moving it. I was going to turn it all the way. Thankfully, I had gotten it enough for it to be within the zone that I didn't just waste my jump pack charge down there to flip the switch.
Delivering payload.
Not sure why I threw that 500 rocket sentry. Maybe so the rocket sentry can redirect its fire more towards the outside things. So this one here, you'll see me shoot that fabricator quite a few times, but it does not go down. I am not sure why. The few times it totally looks like it gets inside the hole there, but for whatever reason it's just not destroying. I can't tell you why. I have no idea why. I do move in closer in a couple seconds here to destroy that.
Sending down equipment package.
So those meteors can actually destroy detector towers and fabricators if they hit them. They don't have that big of an area of effect, so it more or less has to be a direct hit. But it is possible. There, I finally got it. Again, not too sure why that didn't get destroyed. So, especially with this particular build I'm using, I will usually try to not enter the base when I can. I usually try and take it out from the outside. There's always going to be lots of enemies inside, lots of dropships dropping enemies inside. I am not going to want to go inside unless I really have to. Again, especially with a build like this. It's a little bit different with some other builds, like the recoilless rifle build. That one is a bit more like frontline combat friendly. Despite that I play this build much more aggressively than other people may. So there I am using my mini-map trying to find the last fabricator. Kinda guessed that it's around the other side of that bridge, so I throw a 500 just based on the big dots that are moving and what's not, kinda like how I described earlier. So it looks like I was correct, I got it. That's just one of the little tricks you can use. As far as bug holes go, I'm not sure if you can see them on the mini-map. Illuminate warp ships, you can actually see the warp ships on your mini-map, as well as the big red dot if you're close enough. So you can see them from the other side of the map, because they're displayed on the mini-map actually. You may have to zoom in quite a bit, but... Illuminate and Bug Faction will be saved for a different video where I'm actually fighting them. There. Now all I got left is the big fortress. So go take on that monstrosity. Now first thing with the fortress, So far, I've noticed that there are only 2 maps, like little maps, that the fortress will be. One of them is an easier version, for me anyway, where you can enter through the back. This one, not the case. Now, first thing I'll do is go for the cannon turrets, always. I'll always be on the lookout for the cannon turrets, especially the little one, because I feel like they're more aggressive, even though they're not as dangerous. Like, they're more dangerous, really, but they're just not as powerful, I guess. So definitely first thing is I'll look for the cannon turrets, always, every time when I'm going for a fortress. That was a close one. Definitely me not utilizing my carver being an idiot, for sure. Time out of stands, very bad. It's like the 3rd time at least where I've not followed my own rule. You'll kind of notice I'm kind of freaking out here, but try my best to maintain my cool here using my stun grenades instead of my ultimatum shot to save it for a tank or something. So yeah, like I said, I'll stay on the outside, take as many of the fabricators out as I can from the outside without having to go inside. Some of those fabricators are so difficult to destroy with the crossbow, I'm not sure why. Definitely going to be using the advantage of being in 3rd person to look around corners before my character clears them to make sure I'm not walking into a potential barrage of bullets. So another thing is taking breaks, just like the radar tower disc, taking breaks in between being scoped in to check your surroundings like I just did there. And good thing I did because there was a berserker right behind me. Yeah, seems like there's a whole bunch of stuff that just came outside of the front of the base trying to get me while I was sitting there trying to destroy that fabricator, and now I'm kind of in a crappy situation with only 1 stim.
Not today!
Now I've got no stims. See how my goal is to get out of there as soon as I can, hug the wall so that as many bullets as possible don't come at me. So I'll hug the wall as best as I can, get out of there. The reason why I'm spam diving is because my leg is broke right now, so I actually cannot run. So if you're ever in that scenario and you do not have stims, spam diving will allow you to travel much faster than just trying to walk. So of course I'm on a sliver of health, my leg's broken, terrible situation, but definitely very suspenseful. I'm going to run over to my supply pack there to get my stims. And I'm going to reevaluate my situation, make sure there's not a whole platoon of forces inside the front area of the base so I don't get ambushed like that again. There's that trick I had mentioned earlier, marking it, getting your distance, throwing the 500. Anything has that throw distance, doesn't matter the stratagem. So there is, I believe there's 3 cannons up there. I'm not going to engage them. I'm going to hug the corner here so that they don't see me. I believe 2 of them are regular cannon turrets, and one of them is the smaller cannon turret that's labeled as enemy unit. So I'm going to hug the corner and stay out of there. So even though this base has somewhat of an entrance to the back, it's not the one I was talking about. It's definitely the second variation that's not as easy. However, I still cleared the whole base from the outside just like I did. Most of the fabricators will be on the outskirts of the base. There was like 2 that was kind of in the middle at the beginning of my attack on the fortress there. So before I advance, I will resupply to make sure I have everything, and you may notice I'm in quite a rush. When I was playing this game, for some reason I thought that timer was when the pilot was going to get to extraction. So I thought I was 40 seconds away from not being able to extract. So I was in quite a rush, not using my sniper for a long range shot just to kind of clear things up really quickly there. But I was wrong, I was in too much of a rush. I had quite a bit of adrenaline from that fortress fight there.
Sending down equipment package.
So I threw that in hopes that I could just get to it, get my jump pack again and re-jump, but time was too long, so I just kept going.
Super destroyer leaving low orbit. Emergency extraction
And then
deployed.
I immediately realized that the shuttle was not coming there yet, so now you can see me just kind of checking my map again, not rushing straight for the blue line there. So now that I have no objectives left, and all I'm going to do is wait, I'm just going to get to extraction, but you'll notice I have to pass the heavy base first. So what I'll do is I'll make sure there's no remnant enemies left there. You can see that I try an alternate route where I go around the mortar emplacement instead to see if there are no enemies, but there are, so I scratch that and go for the heavy base. Because the heavy base I got a lot closer to and destroyed much more thoroughly than the mortar emplacement. So I'll go across the heavy base there. So now all that I have to do is get to extraction. I'm just gonna kind of play it a bit more stealthier and not ultra aggressive like I have been. Now right away I'm gonna guess, whether I know for a fact or not, that there are a lot of enemies sitting on top of the extraction right now. So I'm just gonna sneak past the enemies that are in that heavy base left over. I'm gonna get to extraction and I'm gonna do some reconnaissance, see what's there and what's not there, and if there is a lot of enemies, I'm not going to engage. So, like, normally I probably would engage because I'd have to run to the pilot, but in this instance, I do have the jump pack, so I can just jump straight to the pilot after it lands. See, one thing, incoming meteor storm. So I'm laying down, don't have very much view of the ground around me, so I'm definitely going to want to keep an eye on where those large purple lights are. That's where the meteors are going to land. So yeah, that little trooper there just about seen me, so I'm going to go crawl behind this barricade here. Make sure he didn't see me.
Pelican 1, preparing for touchdown.
I'm not going to engage quite yet until he comes over to me. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and take out that Hawk because he shoots more missiles than the Rocket Devastator. But I just decided to go straight for there because the pilot blocked the view of most of my enemies. And I made it in. I thought that was quite a good game. I hope you guys learned a lot. We'll see how this video does. If it does well, I will make more commentary videos. Obviously, I'll learn how to do better at them. I don't normally do commentary. That's okay. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Really do hope you enjoyed. See how this does.